Some things are so unique that you have to look closely to recognize them. Welcome to the Porsche Top 5 Most Unique Concept Studies. Presented by Peter Varga, Director of Exterior Design, and Ivo van Hulten, Director of Interior at Porsche.
The 754 is obviously the ancestor of the 911. Why, you may ask? All design elements that you know from the 911 are already there. Seen from the front, you recognize the horizontal joint and the mudguards with round spotlights. What's missing a bit is the accentuation above the rear wheel. But there are also other recognizable elements in the back. For example, the high emphasis on the horizontal lines. From certain points of view, you can hardly say whether it is already the 911 or still the 754 concept.
Here we have the 989 concept from 1988. Back then, this concept was way ahead of its time. For Porsche, it was an expansion of their portfolio, as they designed a sports car with 4 seats for the first time. Porsche tried to start the serial production, however the project was cancelled. But as we know, the concept of a 4-seat sports car came back to life when the Panamera premiered in 2009.
There really was a Cayenne Cabriolet model. In 2002, the designers worked on this study in their studio. Personally, this was a huge surprise for me too, when I did my internship at Porsche back then. This study displays a very bizarre combination of an SUV, the Cayenne, and a Cabriolet. A stylistic highlight, and already very modern back then, is for sure the Targa roll bar, which still is an inspiration for us designers today.
Here we see the 918 Spyder concept, which was presented to the public at the Geneva International Motor Show in 2010. The 918 was designed as a plug-in hybrid, a real super sports car. The motorsport tradition found its way into this concept as it combines driving pleasure with low consumption at the same time. The chassis was completely built out of carbon, which you can see perfectly in the interior. And we had the first integration of digital and analog elements as well. We at Porsche are very proud of the fact that the serial production version hardly differs from the concept.
The Mission E is the answer to electric driving from Porsche. With it, we redefine specific design elements on the exterior shape, as well as in the interior. We created a Porsche design DNA for electric sports cars in the future.
For the first time, we established a seamless integration of smartphones and smartwatches in this concept.
During the process of designing, we focused on keeping the tradition. The new sports car was to preserve the Porsche look while also incorporating new design elements, such as the mudguards with levitating spotlights and the air inlets, which we didn't know until now.
And these levitation elements are found a couple of times in the exterior design as well as in the interior. For example, the exposed instruments on the beautiful horizontal panel. On the inside, we have 4 single seats, designed as bucket seats, which offer a lot of space in the back too. So we have comfort combined with a sporty silhouette. In this case, you can see how well it works.
A few months ago, Porsche started to build the factory for the Mission E in Stuttgart. We can hardly wait to see the first Mission E driving on the streets.
This vehicle is Porsche's answer to the questions associated with the future of electric mobility. Our Porsche Mission E. This concept car is a truly fantastic challenge for us because it's our first electric sports car. You're commissioned to do a job, in this case, to develop a 4-seat sports car with an electric drive system. Then you start producing sketches as a team. And then the sketches are shown in presentations that are made in specific intervals. After a sketch has been selected, a 1:3 scale model is produced. When you're defining the basic concept for the vehicle, you start out by setting its proportions, and then you figure out how to actually build it. We built a basic chassis and then combined it with electrical components from the Boxster E. So in the end, we had a demonstration model that could be driven. It was very important to us here to create typical Porsche proportions. We were able to design an extremely low front end because there's no engine in the front. We also didn't need to have any huge air intakes, so we were able to design everything in the front in a very clean manner, almost a bit like the old Porsche models from the 1950s, 60s, and 70s. We then mixed the whole thing with the wonderful shapes of the 919. Creating this combination of a race car and a carefully designed vehicle was the best part of the job. One thing we thought about, of course, was how to attractively integrate an air curtain that would guide air around the front wheel. This led to the front-end design we chose, which, as one can see, has the classic round Porsche nose flanked by 2 intakes that let air pass under the headlights towards the wheel arch. First of all, the vehicle is clearly recognizable as a Porsche. But we designers wanted to go a step further and see how the Porsche design language, and especially a Porsche electric design language, might be developed further. Our intention here was to also be somewhat provocative with some parts of the vehicle. But nevertheless, just one look at its proportions and the general design is all it takes to see that the vehicle is clearly a Porsche. We also addressed a couple of strategic issues that are very important to us. The 4-point lights in the front were important to me. The arc of light was the main issue in the rear. For us, the door concept is a typical sports car design, one without a frame for the first time. Convenient entry in the rear is ensured by rear hinged doors, and the fact that there's no B-pillar makes for perfect access in the rear. The vehicle is very special for Porsche, as it's a new icon. One of our most well-known cars is the 911, of course. And this vehicle will carry into a new era all the things the 911 has been famous for throughout the decades. That's why we came up with some very special things for the interior as well. We tried to focus on various key aspects. One of these being the fact that we wanted to achieve an entirely new type of interaction with a vehicle. We utilize gesture and eye recognition systems here to enter commands for the car. We tried to create a new type of holographic display. You can input commands on the front passenger side and via the center console. This, in fact, is already a standard feature in the 918 today. Besides that, we did something new with the seats. We've got lightweight seats that are bucket seats naturally, and these have a fairly sporty design. Then there's the craftsmanship, of course. The quality of the materials used truly conforms to the highest standards, which is just what you'd expect from a Porsche.